Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss any video lesson from Rao's IAS Study Circle.
Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an analysis of the Hindu newspaper from UPSC perspective. Today we will discuss the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper dated 25th April 2022, and the articles that we will discuss today are displayed on your screen. Now before starting today's discussion, I have an announcement to make. The Prelims Campus magazine for Science and Technology has been released on the Amazon. Now with this, all the 8 Prelims Campus magazines have been released, so you can buy these magazines from the Amazon and you can utilize them effectively for this year's prelims examination, where it can be very important for us from the current affairs perspective and also understanding important concepts related to prelims examination. This article on page number 6 talks about the recent visit of the Prime Minister of United Kingdom to India. In this line, it underlines the important factors in India-UK relations. When the Prime Minister of UK visited India, both the Prime Minister of India and the Prime Minister of UK discussed about the finalization of the free trade agreement by Diwali this year. This is in line with the focus on doubling the trade between the two countries by 2030. Also previously, both these countries, India and the UK, had unveiled a roadmap for 2030, that is a 10-year roadmap. And that is why in this context, the India-UK relations become important for us from the mains examination perspective in the General Studies paper 2 in the topic International Relations. Now, besides the trade relations between India and UK, another important event that has taken place is the Brexit of the United Kingdom from the European Union. In this context, it also provides certain opportunities to India, especially in terms of the strategic tilt of United Kingdom towards the Indo-Pacific, highlighted by its membership of the AUKUS security partnership in the Indo-Pacific, which is also a focus area for India because India is also a member of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue in the Indo-Pacific, which mainly focuses on countering the Chinese assertion and aggression. So in this context, in this article, we'll try and discuss the different aspects of India-UK relations, that is, what are the areas where India and UK have been collaborating, and after that we will look at the 10-year roadmap that India and UK had finalized recently, and also what are the implications of the tilt of the United Kingdom post-Brexit towards Indo-Pacific, and what are the stakes for India-UK relations in this context. So these are some of the important things that we are going to look forward into this discussion related to India-UK relations. Now, whenever we try to understand the relations between India and any other country, we look at certain areas of cooperation and what are the key highlights on these areas of cooperation. So in terms of India-UK relations, we'll be focusing on 4 to 5 important areas of cooperation between India and UK. So if you look at the trade relations between India and UK, and this also becomes a focus because both India and United Kingdom are trying to finalize a free trade agreement. The merchandise trade between India and UK was about US dollars 15.45 billion in 2019 and 20. And this was important because the trade favor in this merchandise trade between India and UK was in favor of India. That is, the trade between India and UK was not deficit. That is, the exports of India to the UK are more as compared to imports into India from UK. And that is why in such kind of scenario, we say that the trade is favorable for India. So if you look at India's trade with China, it is not favorable because China exports more to India as compared to Indian exports to China. However, if you look at India's trade with United States of America, it is also in favor of India. That is, the Indian exports to US are more as compared to imports from the US into India. And that is why India-UK trade relations are important in this context. Further, India is the second largest source of foreign direct investment after United States of America in the United Kingdom. This highlights the importance of India for the economy of the United Kingdom. As far as UK is concerned, it is the 6th largest inward investor into India after Mauritius, Singapore, Netherlands, Japan and United States of America. Then this brings us to defense partnership between the two countries. In this line, India and UK had signed Defence and International Security Partnership DISP in November 2015 to provide a strategic roadmap and direction to the evolving India-UK defence relations. Now, defence relations are deeply associated with security of India, and in this context, the UK has been focusing on the Indian Ocean region as well as on the Indo-Pacific. And a decision of the United Kingdom to deploy the Carrier Strike Group in Indian Ocean region is important and is in line with its strategic tilt towards the Indo-Pacific that we are interested in. Further, as far as climate change is concerned, both India and UK collaborated at the Glasgow Climate Summit and focused on collaboration in the field of climate change. And as far as the mechanism between both India and UK is concerned related to climate change, India and UK Green Growth Equity Fund has been established. And this fund becomes important because it is being used to mobilize institutional investments into key areas like renewable energy, waste management, electric mobility, and environment subsectors in India. Further, both India and UK collaborated heavily during the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of vaccine collaboration. That is why, in terms of health, both these countries have showed that the collaboration can be very important for resolving any important health related international crisis. So, in this line, the successful partnership between the Oxford University, AstraZeneca, and the Serum Institute of India on COVID-19 vaccine demonstrated the potential of India and UK expertise working together to solve the international challenges. Further, in terms of multilateral collaborations, that is, collaboration on various multilateral issues like the UNSC reforms or the Wassenaar Agreement or various arms control groups, UK and India have been collaborating very deeply. For example, UK has been supportive of India's permanent membership of United Nations Security Council since 2004, which is very crucial for India's stature to become a permanent member of the UNSC. Further, UK is also a strong supporter for India's membership of the Nuclear Suppliers Group, Missile Technology Control Regime, Australia Group, and the Wassenaar Agreement. And both UK and India are the co-chairs of the Coalition on Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. Also, UK is a member of the Indian Initiative of International Solar Alliance. So, this shows that both these countries have been collaborating on various multilateral platforms where UK has been supportive of India's cause. And as far as the diaspora is concerned, Indian diaspora is very important in the United Kingdom. In this line, the Indian diaspora in UK is one of the largest ethnic minority communities in the United Kingdom. This includes about 1.6 million British nationals of Indian origin and about 351,000 non-resident Indians who are living in the UK. And these comprise about 2.5% of the total population of the United Kingdom. And this diaspora is important because it contributes heavily to about 6% of the UK's GDP. So this is the economic contribution of the Indian diaspora, and as far as the political contribution of Indian diaspora is concerned, at present there are around 16 Indian origin members of the parliament in the UK parliament, and out of these, 5 of them hold key ministerial posts in the government. So these are some areas of collaboration as far as the India-UK relations are concerned. This brings us to the 10-year roadmap that has been finalized between India and UK till 2030. Also, we will look at how the UK has been tilting towards the Indo-Pacific, what are its implications, and what are the stakes for India and the UK relations. So, as far as the 10-year roadmap for India-UK relationship is concerned, both these countries have decided to negotiate a comprehensive free trade agreement, which was supposed to be finalized by April 2022. However, the timeline has now been increased till the Diwali of 2022, that is October. Further, according to this 10-year roadmap, both these countries will focus on doubling India-UK trade by 2030. So this is the target that both these countries have set up for themselves. Also, both will focus on strengthening defense partnership, focusing on maritime and industrial collaboration. Also, they will focus on closer collaboration in a free and open Indo-Pacific. We all are aware that free and open Indo-Pacific is in line with the larger goal of the Quad, the AUKUS, as well as the objectives of a larger free and open Indo-Pacific regime. Further, both are going to focus on maritime domain awareness, which will include new agreements on maritime information sharing. Also, both are focusing on concluding a logistics memorandum of understanding. You might be aware that previously India and US had finalized all the foundational defense agreement. So this is going to be a big boost to the overall security in the Indo-Pacific and the Indian Ocean region. Then both are already collaborating on various multilateral platforms, and the 10-year roadmap highlights that they will focus on cooperation and coordination at the United Nations, including at the UNSC, UNFCCC, and other multilateral forums such as G20, WTO, WHO, Commonwealth, IMF, as well as World Bank. And at the same time, both these countries have decided to promote and uphold a rule-based international system and work together to promote reformed multilateralism. So these are the parameters that have been decided by India and UK to further their relationship according to this 10-year roadmap till 2030. In this line, UK has exited from the European Union. And because of its exit from the European Union, its foreign policy is getting a renewed assertion. And this renewed assertion of UK's foreign policy has implications for India and its relations with the United Kingdom. In this line, UK has highlighted that it will focus on significantly increasing its nuclear stockpile to counter threats that are posed by increasing military might of Russia as well as assertiveness of China. Also, UK is looking towards India and the Indo-Pacific region to ensure that its strategic interests are protected and impact of the Brexit on the economy is minimized. We all are aware that UK has been focusing on improving trade relations with India as well as it is focusing on the Indo-Pacific in the form of AUKUS security dialogue or the security partnership. Further, Britain has expressed its desire to acquire partner status with the ASEAN grouping, highlighting its focus on the Indo-Pacific again, and it is part of the AUKUS security partnership that aims at countering China in the Indo-Pacific. So because of this renewed assertion of United Kingdom's foreign policy, which is being seen as becoming more independent and assertive post the Brexit from the European Union, it has certain implications. So the implications of the UK's tilt towards the Indo-Pacific highlights that it will declare UK's political commitment to the Indo-Pacific and the region as a whole, thereby developing a larger consensus against the assertive China. Further, by aligning with US and Australia, it is amplifying its efforts to entering into the regional security architecture in the form of AUKUS that was finalized last year. Further, UK is also a part of the Five Eyes coalition, which focuses on intelligence gathering and sharing. Further, UK's tilt towards Indo-Pacific will be more focused on countering the Chinese aggression and assertiveness and also diversifying its trade and investment relations from China. And that is why these are the larger implications of the UK's tilt towards Indo-Pacific and its larger assertiveness. This brings us to what are the stakes for India-UK relations in the context of the geopolitical events that are happening and also the post-Brexit UK. So in this line, both the countries, India and the UK, view Indo-Pacific as an emerging theatre of geopolitics, and it provides an opportunity for a closer UK-India partnership, which we already are aware shows the UK's interest in the Indo-Pacific because UK is a member of the AUKUS security partnership. Further, UK's post-Brexit meritocratic immigration policy, along with its move to co-sponsor motion at the United Nations that called out Pakistan's failure to prevent the financing of terrorism, has helped the relationship between India and UK to become more stronger. Also, India has come to the realization that alone the United States is not capable of constraining the China. And if we compare India's relations with other important partners like Japan, Australia, and France, the India-UK relations are relatively untapped as strategic partner for India. In this line, the trade between India and UK, although is in favor of India, is not very large as compared to India-US trade or India-China trade. That is why this shows that this is untapped potential which India and UK need to focus upon. Further, on the front of cybersecurity, India and UK will be working multilaterally under the proposed D10 grouping to combat Huawei's lead in the 5G technology. Further, we have seen that the partnership between the agencies in India and the UK on the COVID vaccine development highlights or can act as a blueprint for the future cooperation on global health initiatives. And post-Brexit, when the UK is trying to diversify its economic partners, India can play a very crucial role. And both are partnering on the issues which are important or are of global concerns like climate change. For example, the Green Grid Initiative, One Sun, One World, One Grid, which was finalized at the Glasgow COP26. Besides this, both India and UK have been focusing on the issues of international importance like the Ukraine, where the Prime Minister of UK has appreciated India's stand and has also highlighted that India's relationship with Russia can be crucial for bringing peace in Europe. So all these points highlight that the UK's tilt towards the Indo-Pacific and its renewed assertion after Brexit has implications and stakes for India-UK relations, which we have seen here. In this context, based on the points that we have discussed here, you can practice this practice question from the mains examination perspective, that is, post-Brexit UK is asserting itself at the global stage. What are the stakes for India-UK relations in such a scenario? With this, let's take up the next news article now. This article on page number 6 is related to the visit of the Prime Minister to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And this visit is important because this was the first visit of the Indian Prime Minister to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. In this line, the Prime Minister highlighted the importance of the various developmental initiatives and the economic progress that the Jammu and Kashmir is witnessing. In this line, this editorial highlights the initiatives that have been taken by the Government of India for improving the economic scenario of the Jammu and Kashmir. However, it has highlighted that despite efforts by the Government of India, there has been a discontent in the local population, highlighted by various issues and the issues related to insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir. In this line, the insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir becomes an important topic for us from the security perspective. So let us look at all the aspects of insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir, various initiatives that have been taken by the Government of India for handling the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir, especially security related as well as developmental efforts. And at the last, we will look at what more can be done in order to address the security situation and improve the overall scenario in the Jammu and Kashmir. Now, first, in order to understand the Jammu and Kashmir militancy, we will have to understand what does the Jammu and Kashmir militancy look like in terms of incidents, the security forces killed, civilians killed, as well as terrorists killed. If you look at the data from the last 6 years, which has been released by the Ministry of Home Affairs in its annual report in 2020 and 21, the number of terrorists that have been killed has increased in the 2020 post the abrogation of Article 370. Further, the incidents related to terrorist attacks have reduced after the abrogation of Article 370 from 594 to 244. Further, if you look at the infiltration attempts and the net estimated infiltration, they have also reduced from 2019 to 2020, that is, post the abrogation of Article 370. In this line, we need to understand what the government has been doing to handle the insurgency situation in Jammu and Kashmir. So, of course, the government has been focusing first on security related aspects, where the government has been focusing on improving the security architecture, providing suitable measures to the security forces, and also various political initiatives like abrogation of Article 370 and focusing on controlling the issues like terror financing. So, in terms of security related aspects, the security forces are taking measures to safeguard the borders from the cross border terrorism in order to contain militancy. Also, the Government of India took the decision of abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, which has changed the status of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir into 3 union territories of Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh. Also, a multidisciplinary terror financing monitoring group has been constituted, which will look into ways of curbing the terror financing, which is seen as one of the important sources of financing for the terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. Besides the security-related initiatives, Government of India has also been focusing on development-oriented initiatives so that the youth of the Jammu and Kashmir does not get diverted towards terrorist activities. In this line, first initiative was the Special Industry Initiative, which is known as the UDAN. And this scheme is being implemented by the National Skill Development Corporation (NSDC) in public-private partnership mode. Then there is Himayat scheme, which focuses on rural and urban youth, including school dropouts, which are now being imparted job-oriented training in various sectors such as information technology, sales, customer service, hospitality, which is important for tourism, which is one of the important sectors in Kashmir's economy. Then focus has also been on boosting the grassroots democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. And post the abrogation of Article 370, the local body elections have re-established the long overdue grassroots level democracy in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh regions, and there are provisions of direct elections of sarpanch for the panchayats. They have also been restored to ensure accountability. And under the 73rd Amendment of the Constitution, all the functions and the functionaries have been transferred to the panchayats, including institutions like primary health centers, primary schools, Anganwadi centers, etc. And all these with the aim of integrating the youth into the mainstream and providing voice to the grassroots level democracy, so that the politics in Jammu and Kashmir is not hijacked by only a few political parties. Further focus of the Government of India is also on relief and rehabilitation of the Kashmiri Pandit migrants who had migrated in 1990 because of the terrorist activities which targeted these Kashmiri Pandits. In this line, a variety of measures have been taken over by the government by the way of financial assistance, relief, and other initiatives to provide and support the affected families. Further, government is also focusing on improving the people-to-people contact across LOC in order to boost the confidence building measures, and this includes travel and trade across LOC between Jammu and Kashmir and the POK. Further, the Prime Minister of India had announced a developmental package for Jammu and Kashmir in 2015, which amounted to about 80,068 crores towards special assistance to Jammu and Kashmir for development of infrastructure. So these are some development-oriented initiatives that the government of India has started in the Jammu and Kashmir. In this backdrop, since 2014, a new trend in militancy was being witnessed in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and this was mainly because of the proliferation of social media. Because the social media was being utilized by the terror organization in order to recruit local youths, which was not the case before. So let us look at this new form of terrorist activity which utilizes social media that started in Jammu and Kashmir since 2014. In this line, it has been highlighted by the various reports of the Government of India that there has been increase in access to social media from about 25% of the people in 2010 in Jammu and Kashmir to about 70% in 2015. And this has facilitated mass radicalization and spread of anti-India propaganda among the Kashmiri youth. Now, access to social media not only contributed to an increased recruitment for Pakistani organizations such as the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, but it has also created a new breed of militants which are locally recruited. Further, social media has given Kashmiris new channels for their grievances as well as political aspirations. In this line, the grievances and the political aspirations which are within the confines of the Constitution of India are not a problem. But when these grievances and political aspirations turn towards or take the shape of militancy, they pose a threat to the security of the state itself. And because of proliferation of social media, anti-India narratives have grown stronger and mass radicalization has taken place and also alienation has been witnessed. Further, another important trend that has started because of the social media's proliferation is that there has been increasing number of local Kashmiris who have turned to militancy and have started supporting, interacting and participating in the terrorist organizations that had previously recruited only Pakistani and other foreign militants. So this is the new trend that was witnessed after the proliferation of social media. Further, messaging apps like WhatsApp and Telegrams have helped the militants to mobilize crowds, and they also served as channels for training the local militants, etc. And between 2014 to 2020, there has been a significant increase in the local militancy and stone pelting incidents in the region. So this was one of the new trends in the militancy that was witnessed because of proliferation of social media, that is increase in local militancy, increase in local recruits and increase in stone pelting incidents. Further, because of the proliferation of social media, there was increasing local support to the terrorist incidents in the Jammu and Kashmir. So in order to wipe out all these over the ground workers, Indian armed forces launched the Operation All Out to eliminate the militant networks and their overground workers and top militant commanders. So in this line, if you look at the data that was released by the Ministry of Home Affairs, this also highlights that the local recruitment has increased because of the proliferation of social media, and also the number of stone pelting incidents had also increased between 2014 to 2020. However, the number of stone pelting incidents has reduced from 2019 to 2020, mainly because of heavy deployment of security forces post abrogation of Article 370. But all these facts released by the Ministry of Home Affairs corroborate the impact of social media on local recruitment and the stone pelting incidents, which were new trends in the insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir. In this line, let us look at the impact of the revocation of the special status of the Jammu and Kashmir, that is the abrogation of Article 370. So in August 2019, the Government of India revoked the special status of Kashmir under Article 370 of the Constitution of India. Now, because of this abrogation of Article 370, various residents of the Jammu and Kashmir had highlighted their skepticism towards this move of the Government of India, and they highlighted that they were being treated as second-class citizens. However, this move of abrogation of Article 370 and deployment of security forces had reduced the stone pelting incident significantly by 87% in 2022. Now, this drop in the stone pelting incidents has been because of heavy deployment on ground of the armed forces and also the lockdowns that were imposed during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, the situation of increase in the local recruitments in the militant organization is a cause of concern and shows the mixed results of the abrogation of Article 370. In this line, let us look at some other measures that the Government of India has been taking and can take in de-radicalizing the youth of Jammu and Kashmir. First in this line is the District Development Council, which has been created after Jammu and Kashmir lost its statehood. And the focus of political activity in Kashmir has now been shifted to these district development councils as grassroots development organizations. Now, Kashmiris who were facing issues related to bureaucratic red tape can find new hope with the elected local leaders who can ensure good governance and local development, and this can play a very crucial role in reducing the alienation of the youth. Then proliferation of social media, which has been seen as one of the important tools that has been utilized by the militant organizations. So social media has been used as an important source of misinformation and propaganda in the time of new militancy. Now, in this regard, the response of the government of India has been focusing on reactive tactics like blanket bans, monitoring and censoring, and reporting extremist profiles and content. However, the focus of the government of India should also be on creating or promoting counter narratives that are against the narratives that are set by the terrorist organizations. In this regard, the government of India will have to invest in certain new kinds of technologies like artificial intelligence, and also, the government of India will have to find creative ways where the Kashmiris can consume the narratives produced by the Indian state and the army. For the third important pillar to de radicalize and reduce the alienation of the youth of Jammu and Kashmir is the narrative of justice. And there have been instances and narratives of humiliation, shame, and injustice from the Indian state, and they have been strongly entrenched in the minds of the Kashmiri youth. In the past, cases against the extrajudicial conduct of the armed forces have been denied or dismissed for trial by the central government and have been suspended by the armed force tribunals, and this is seen as important for the morale of the security forces that are deployed in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. However, such kind of cover-ups by the central government has led to the further alienation of the youth of the Jammu and Kashmir. Further, focus should also be on using the technology effectively. In this line, heavy armed force deployment in the Jammu and Kashmir has alienated the population of Jammu and Kashmir, and they view the Indian state as occupier or colonizer. And this has mainly been because of policy of mass deployment in the Jammu and Kashmir region. In this line, we all are aware that such deployment is in line with India's view of the security of the region, and we cannot afford to demilitarize the valley because of the terrorist activities that are prevalent in this region. However, focus can be on smart use of technologies like unmanned aerial vehicles or drone technology. We have seen that Indian Army has used effectively the drones to identify the locations of the terrorists which are hiding in various hideouts in the Jammu and Kashmir, and also in one of the operations that was conducted by Indian Army recently. And these technological tools can be used to conduct surveillance, maintain law and order, and also deter the use of drones by the militants and the militant supporters. And last but not the least, the focus should also be on education, which can play a very important role in de-radicalizing the youth, which is turning towards militancy and which is also leading to increase in the local recruitments for the militant organizations. So in this discussion, we have seen the different aspects of the militancy in Jammu and Kashmir, the initiatives taken by the government of India, and what more initiatives can the government of India take to de-radicalize the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. With this, let's take up the next news article now. This article on page number 10 in the text and the context section is related to the border dispute between Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. In this line, both these states are trying to resolve this dispute for a very long period of time, and this article basically focuses on the efforts that have been made in the past and the efforts that are being made in the present towards the resolution of this border dispute. However, from our preliminary examination perspective, we should note that what are the various constitutional mechanisms that can be used for resolving interstate disputes. So let us look at all these constitutional mechanisms which can be important for us from the prelims examination perspective. In this regard, the first mechanism that is available in the Indian Constitution is the judicial mechanism under Article 131. And the Article 131 of the Indian Constitution confers original jurisdiction to the Supreme Court of India to deal with the disputes involving legal rights. Original in terms of that the states can approach directly the Supreme Court for the resolution of such disputes. Also, the Supreme Court also has exclusive jurisdiction regarding the interstate disputes. That is, no other court in India besides the Supreme Court can take up the cases related to such interstate disputes. So, Article 131 covers any dispute between the Government of India and one or more states, or Government of India and any states or states on the one side and one or more states on the other side, also between two or more states. So basically this is one mechanism that can be used for resolving interstate disputes, that is any dispute of federal nature between the states or either the government of India and the state or more number of states among themselves can be dealt by the Article 131 under the original jurisdiction that has been provided to the Supreme Court of India. Second mechanism that is available is solving the disputes through the Interstate Council under Article 263. Now, although this is also a mechanism which can be used for resolving the interstate disputes, but the decisions of the Interstate Council are not binding in nature and they are merely advisory and they act as important deliberative forum. That is why this mechanism is not that effective, although this can be used by consensus. So under Article 263, the Constitution provides the provision for formation of an interstate council. And this council is competent to tender advice regarding the resolution of interstate disputes, including boundary disputes. So the focus should be on the word advice, that is, it is merely an advisory body. The functions to be discharged by the council are inquiring into and advising upon the disputes which may have arisen between the states, investigating and discussing the subjects in which states and union have common interest, making recommendations for better coordination of policy action amongst the states. As far as the establishment of Interstate Council is concerned, the Sarkaria Commission in 1988 had recommended a permanent Interstate Council under Article 263. And accordingly, the Government of India accepted this recommendation of the Sarkaria Commission and had created an Interstate Council through the Presidential Order 1990. If you look at the composition of this Interstate Council, it consists of Prime Minister of India as the chairman, Chief Ministers of all the states as the members, Chief Ministers of the Union Territories having Legislative Assembly and Administrators of the Union Territories which do not have the Legislative Assembly. And also 6 Ministers of the Cabinet rank in the Union Council of Ministers should be nominated by the Prime Minister. Further, as far as the functions of the Interstate Council are concerned, we have already seen that they are advisory in nature. They can also investigate, but the recommendations are not binding. In this regard, they can make recommendations upon subject and in particular for better coordination of policy action regarding any issue or subject matter. Also, they can inquire into and advise upon the disputes which may have arisen between or among the states. Focus can also be on investigating and discussing subjects in which some or all of the states have a common interest. Also, they can deliberate upon other matters of general interest to the states as may be referred by the chairman. That is, this can act as a deliberating body and can provide advice or recommendations which are not binding on the states. So this can be one mechanism which is alternative to the Article 131 under which Supreme Court has the original jurisdiction. The third mechanism that is available to the Parliament under Article 3. That is, Parliament may by law under the Article 3 form a new state by the separation of the territory from any state or by uniting two or more states or part of the states by uniting any territory to a part of any state. Now this Article 3 becomes important because it highlights the unitary tilt of the Indian Constitution in this regard. And the Parliament has been empowered to change the boundaries of the states. They can break a state into number of states, and all these provisions are available to the Parliament of India, which is not available in case of other federal countries like the United States of America, etc. So under Article 3, the Parliament may by law increase the area of any state, diminish the area of any state, alter the boundaries of any state and alter the name of any state. So this is one mechanism that can be used under the Indian Constitution for resolution of interstate border disputes. So there are 3 mechanisms. First is the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court under Article 131. Second is under the 263, where Interstate Council has been created, although its recommendations are not binding in nature. Third is Article 3, under which Parliament can, by law, alter the boundaries and resolve these disputes. With this, let's take up the next news article now. Now, besides the articles that we have discussed, there are 3 other important articles which are important for us from the prelims examination perspective. First article is on page number 6, which talks about the polio eradication across the globe. In this line, Malawi in Africa has reported a polio case which has been imported from Pakistan, and also a polio outbreak has been seen in case of Israel, and that has mainly been because of the vaccine related issue. In this backdrop, let us look at the difference between the 2 types of vaccines related to polio which can be important for us from the prelims examination perspective. First one is the inactivated polio vaccine, that is the IPV, and second one is the oral polio vaccine. So what exactly is the difference between these can be a very important aspect for us from the prelims examination perspective. So the inactivated polio vaccine involves an inactivated polio virus which is administered via injection. So it involves an inactivated polio virus. However, as compared to this, the oral polio vaccine involves a weakened or live attenuated polio virus which is orally administered. Now, this IPV or the inactivated polio vaccine does not contain a live virus. So, the people who receive this vaccine do not shed the virus and cannot infect others, and the vaccine cannot cause any kind of disease. That is, this is seen as an effective vaccine. Now, as compared to the inactivated polio vaccine, the oral polio vaccine has a potential side effect because it uses weakened or live polio virus. Now, this side effect is that the strain of polio virus that is used in the vaccine can mutate and lead to the patient contracting vaccine derived polio virus. And this can be transmitted to others and can result in emergence of circulating vaccine derived polio virus, which has been the case in case of Malawi, which has imported a case of polio virus from Pakistan. Further, since the inactivated polio vaccine does not contain live virus, it need not be stored under cold conditions. However, the oral polio vaccine has to be stored under frozen conditions. Further, if you look at the inactivated viruses that are used in the injected vaccines, the virus are killed by heat or using the chemicals. However, in the oral polio vaccine, a virus is weakened by forcing the virus to grow in abnormal conditions, which makes the genetic code change, and these changes make the virus harmless enough to use as vaccine. However, there are cases where the virus can mutate itself, and that is a cause of concern if it is not properly handled. So these are few points related to the two types of vaccines that are available, which can be important for us from the prelims examination perspective. Then in the text and the context section, we have this article related to a cyber espionage group of Russia, which is conducting cyber attacks across the globe. In this line, if you look at the previous examinations of UPSC, in the prelims examination, UPSC has asked certain types of questions related to cyber security. For example, this was the question that was asked in 2018. The terms WannaCry, Petya and Eternal Blue, sometimes mentioned in the news recently, are related to, and they were related to cyber attacks. Accordingly, in this article, it is not important for us to understand the whole article. The more important thing for us from the prelims examination perspective are the terms that we see in this article related to cyber attacks and the cyber espionage group. So in this regard, Strontium is a group which is also known as Fancy Bear, and it is a highly active cyber espionage group associated with the army of Russia. In the past, it has used various tools, and the terms like external, SPLM or the chopsticks, and the X-agent, Gamefish, Zebrosy, these are important for us from the prelims examination perspective, and you should be aware that they are associated with cyber attacks. That is enough for us from the prelims examination perspective. Then there is another group by the name APT28, and this also focuses on the cyber attacks. So these are some terms that we see in this article which can be important for us from the prelims examination perspective based on our understanding of the way in which UPSC has asked questions in the previous years. With this, let's take up the next news article that we see in today's newspaper. Now, if you look at this news article, it is there on the page number 10, and this article highlights that Argentina acknowledges Indian support on Falklands row. So this Falkland Island and its location becomes important for us from the prelims examination perspective. In this regard, you can look at the location of the Falkland Island. It lies in the South Atlantic Ocean. Now, this is a territory that is held by the United Kingdom, and Argentina claims that this is a part of Argentina. So that is the dispute basically. With this, we conclude today's discussion, and this is the question for the day.